It sounds kind of weird, right? Being told not to be amazed by something that's truly incredible, it just goes against our intuition. But deep inside the book of Revelation, there's this really strange command that does exactly that. So let's dive in and unpack this fascinating mystery. Okay, so here's the scene. The Apostle John is getting this incredible, totally overwhelming vision. So of course, his natural reaction is just complete astonishment. But instead of getting a pat on the back, an angel basically rebukes him, asking, "Why did you marvel?" And that is the puzzle at the very heart of what we're talking about today.
So yeah, what's the big deal? Why would an angel shut down a sense of wonder? Why is being amazed a problem in this specific context? Well, answering that question, that reveals something really profound about the difference between understanding something and just being wowed by the spectacle.
To really get this, we've got to first look at the command itself and the exact moment it pops up in the story.
So John's seeing this wild, incredibly symbolic vision of a woman riding a beast, and he's just stunned. I mean, you would be too, right? But the angel's response is everything. He doesn't just say, "Stop marveling." He immediately says, "I will tell thee the mystery." The crucial point here is this. This vision isn't supposed to be some piece of art you just admire from a distance. It's meant to be understood.
Now, to really get to the bottom of this, we have to look at the original Greek, because the specific word the angel chooses to use, well, it changes everything.
The Greek word is thaumazō. Now, what's really interesting is that last part of the definition you see here, to be mentally arrested. Think about that. It describes a state of being so stunned, so caught up in passive awe that your critical thinking just stops. You're literally frozen by the spectacle. So, when we plug that meaning back into the angel's question, it makes perfect sense. He's not really asking, "John, why are you impressed?" He's asking, "John, why are you just standing there mentally frozen by this? This isn't a show. There's a meaning here that you're supposed to be figuring out."
And let's be crystal clear about something. In our modern English, sometimes the word marvel can kind of hint at making a caricature of something, or even mockery. That is absolutely not what's going on here. The word is describing a genuine, passive state of being stunned, not some active attempt to twist or distort something. Okay, now this is where it gets really compelling. The Bible uses that exact same word, thaumazō, to describe a completely different group of people. And trust me, it's setting up a powerful and very intentional contrast.
And this slide just lays out that divide brilliantly. On one side, you've got John, who represents the righteous, being told not to marvel. On the other side, in an earlier chapter, you have all the world doing the exact same thing. They're marveling after the beast. So for one group, it's a mistake. For the other, it's their whole way of reacting to the thing.
Yeah, this isn't a coincidence. Scripture is deliberately drawing a line in the sand. It's setting up this fundamental choice. Are you going to pursue understanding, or are you just going to get captivated by the show? The stakes here are incredibly high.
So what is the actual danger here? I mean, why is this kind of passive awe so problematic?
It's because marveling can be the very first step toward a complete loss of perspective. It starts when you fixate on the spectacle itself, not what it means. From there, it's easy to start exaggerating its importance, and then you start to lose your sober judgment. And before you know it, you end up mythologizing the very thing you don't understand, just making up your own stories to fill in the gaps. This quote from our source material just nails it. When the world wondered after the beast, they weren't making fun of him. Oh no, they were doing something far more dangerous. They were overinflating his significance, basically turning their awe into a kind of worship, and that is the danger of misplaced awe. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. This whole idea isn't just some one-off comment in Revelation 17. It's actually a really consistent principle all throughout Scripture. You can see this pattern pop up again and again in the book of Revelation. A vision is shown, the person seeing it is totally bewildered, and then boom, a divine messenger steps in to give the official interpretation. This sets up a crucial rule. The meaning of these signs belongs to God, not to the person watching. Our job isn't to invent our own meaning, it's to receive the explanation.
The Apostle Paul warns about the exact opposite of this. He cautions people against teachings that are like fables, things that just minister questions. In other words, they just spark endless curiosity and speculation, but never actually lead you to any solid, useful truth.
Marvel without meaning. That's it. That's the perfect way to describe what Paul is warning us about. It's just fascination for its own sake, a never-ending cycle of questions that ultimately leads nowhere. And this table right here just sums up the contrast beautifully. A divine messenger? They explain things and resolve mystery, which leads to a sober sense of understanding. A false teacher, though, they add their own spin, they multiply speculation, and all that does is produce more marvel and fascination. You see? They have completely different goals.
And this all leads to a really powerful conclusion. The faith that's presented in the Bible isn't some kind of mystery cult, designed to keep people in a state of perpetual confusion and awe. It's a revealed faith. Even when the word mystery is used, it's almost always followed up by something like, which is now made known.
And the Apostle Peter just drives this point home. He's crystal clear that prophecy doesn't come from an individual's private take or their own hot take. The source of the revelation is also the source of its interpretation, period.
So the crucial point of all this is pretty simple. While astonishment might be our first gut reaction to something extraordinary, truth demands that we move beyond it. Real truth requires interpretation, clarity, and ultimately understanding.
And that leaves us with a very modern question, doesn't it? We live in an age of constant spectacle, from our entertainment to our social media feeds. So, faced with this ancient principle, how do we intentionally choose sober understanding over that passive, captivating awe? That is definitely something worth thinking about.